Did 3 years just seriously go by already? It feels like yesterday since I uploaded my reaction to Flight Simulator, which, that got a couple of views. There's been quite a bit added since the launch of Flight Simulator all the way back in 2020, but there was definitely some turbulence along the way. However, it seems Azobo has definitely gotten things back under control. So for this video, I thought I'd get my thoughts on the past 3 years we've had flying in the virtual skies and talk about what I would like to see as well as what I'm looking forward to. It's no secret that I had my issues with Flight Simulator along with many others when it first released. While it wasn't a Fallout 76 or Cyberpunk type of launch, it still had a lot of technical issues. One of my biggest complaints was the fact that the real-world weather system was just completely busted. And this took almost a good solid year for it to actually start working as promised, at least for me. It's by no means perfect, but it does a pretty good job at portraying what's going on outside. As time went on though, the issues unfortunately didn't stop. Azobo was clearly pushing these massive updates out way too early. There were constant complaints of bugs and technical issues. It wasn't until Sim Update 10 when I noticed Azobo started really taking their time with these updates. I mean, they delayed this one twice to make sure it worked right, and it paid off. Since Flight Simulator launched, I have logged almost 600 hours in this game. That's the most of my entire Steam library. That just goes to show you how much I love aviation and Flight Simulator. Though there were a lot of problems with the simulator, I still can't deny Azobo's commitment and the fact that the vast majority of these updates and expansions are completely free. I mentioned in my 40th anniversary review that I hate the term games as service, but Azobo is one of the very few who actually gets it right, and they must be commended for that. I mean, since launch, they've updated the world map with world updates, included new features with sim updates, and even gave us expansions like Top Gun and the 40th anniversary pack. I just can't even imagine what the future will hold. You can tell the team at Azobo really loves aviation just by all the detail they put in the sim and the constant support and Q&As that they do, as well as the feature discovery series that they did before the game came out. They truly appreciate and understand this community. Heck, one of the developers actually reached out to me a couple years ago when the game was still in development, saying that the team had seen my reaction videos and really appreciated my support. I honestly can't even describe how that made me feel. It was one of the greatest honors of my life just to know that a developer working on one of my favorite video game franchises of all time was watching my content. I'm literally getting all giddy typing this, no joke. I would love to one day meet these developers just so I can thank them for watching my videos. It means the world to me. I've done so much in Flight Simulator these past 3 years, from live streams to flight videos and, of course, reaction videos. I've flown across America in a Cessna 172 and a TBM 930, flown an Airbus to the Bahamas, traveled from California to Florida at Mach 10 in the Dark Star, soared like an eagle in gliders, and of course, flew with some of you guys. I'm still actively playing the sim to this day, whether I'm doing airline jet flights, flying around and enjoying the view in a Cessna, practicing in gliders to help with my real-world glider training, or flying over houses while breaking the sound barrier to see how many windows I can break. Also, as a side note, I don't know how it took me so long to try out the Discovery flights, but oh my goodness, these are awesome. If you want to look for one of the most majestic and relaxing ways to play Flight Simulator, just play one of these and listen to the flights that have music in the background. Seriously, just take a look at some of these flights and tell me to my face you don't almost get a tear in your eye. So now that I talked about the content we received so far, as well as my experience with the sim, I figured now we move on to what I would like to see for the simulator in the future. First on my list, and I think most will agree with this, and that's to have a proper instant replay feature. I know you can technically use it in the developer mode in the simulator, but it's far from perfect. I mean, thankfully it gets the job done, but that's about it. I want to see a replay feature that is really simple but very in-depth. The good thing is the replay feature in the game right now, plays smooth, but there are a few nitpicks I have. One is the fact you can't really see all the flight controls working, like the spoilers on airline jets. And unless you look up a tutorial, the entire UI for this instant replay is so freaking confusing and takes a lot of time to get used to. Whereas with previous flight sims, you just click on instant replay and set how far back you want to go in the replay until that time you hit the instant replay button. Now granted, it was a bit choppy, but that was more than a decade ago. I want to see that kind of simplicity with the instant replay in the current version, so hopefully once it comes out of beta, we see a massive improvement. One of the things I loved about the old flight simulators was that they had an entire learning center to dive into pretty much any topic on aviation. If you wanted to learn about helicopters, just look it up. Want to know how to fly a tail dragger? Look it up. I actually printed some of these out when I was younger, so that way I didn't have to read it on the screen. There were so many cool things you could learn about aviation, and sometimes you come across a video on one of the topics, with some of them featuring John and Martha King. I always love these. Now, I know some may argue that this would be kind of pointless in today's digital age where you could just look up the topic on YouTube or Google, but just having instant access to this information was so useful back in the day. It helped me a ton with my knowledge in aviation, and I'm sure a lot of people would welcome it. I just feel like it would give the simulator a little bit more depth. Lastly, I'm not sure how much of the community would actually want this feature, but I think for hardcore simmers, this would be a nice small touch. I would like to see a revamp of the logbook system. In FSX, you could actually delete flights from your logbook. I usually only deleted flights off my logbooks if I was just goofing around. Currently, there is no way to delete any of your logs in Flight Simulator, so a lot of my logbook is just filled with fluff. I would really like there to be an option for that, as well as ways to organize your logbooks. Like looking up one specific plane you fly and how many hours you have on that one particular aircraft, along with more information like how many instrument hours you have with it. It's honestly impossible to tell anybody how much time you have with a specific aircraft, and I would like to have some bragging rights to show I have experience with a particular plane. That's pretty much all I have in regards to what I like to see in the sim. So let's move on to my final topic of what I'm excited to see in the future. When it comes to modding, Flight Simulator 2020 does not disappoint. One of the best mods I think ever made for any game period is the fly-by-wire Airbus A320. It features a fully functioning cockpit and from what I hear is pretty accurate to the real A320. Now the team at Fly-by-Wire is working on the king of the skies, the Airbus A380. While there isn't a firm release date for it yet, what they have shown us so far is nothing but incredible. The amount of detail these guys put into their projects is honestly insane. Oh yeah, did I mention that this is also free? Yeah, I'm not joking, $0 and 0 cents. This is a plane I am itching to fly, and I'm keeping a sharp eye on it. Sometimes one of the criticisms of Flight Simulator has gotten for many years was that you have to spend a lot of money on add-ons to really expand your sim. While that was very true back in the day, it isn't quite so much anymore, at least in the scenery department. Now don't get me wrong, while there are still a ton of payware add-ons out there that make the sim better, it doesn't feel as necessary as it used to. However, when it comes to payware aircraft, that's something that's not going away, and I have no issue with that, especially when it's coming from S-tier developers. This brings me to PMDG, who recently a few months ago said that they're working on the 777X, which I'm not gonna lie, based on what I've seen from the real aircraft, may actually top the 787 for me. I mean, seriously, just look at this thing. It's a freaking beast. And now that PMDG is gonna bring it into the sim, I just can't help but having to swipe my credit card at it when it comes out. We unfortunately don't have any details on it other than that the team is working on it, but that doesn't lower my excitement whatsoever. Alright, we've been giving the jets some love, So now let's move on to some general aviation. These guys are without a doubt the best general aviation payware developers out there, and that's A2A Simulations. The aircraft they're bringing into the sim is one they've worked on before, but is being brought over to Flight Simulator, and that's the Piper Comanche. I have almost no doubts this plane will be incredibly immersive and almost incomparable to the actual plane. I've purchased several planes from these guys back in the FSX days, and what I love about them is that you actually have to take care of them or you could end up having problems. As well as the fact that they fly very realistically. This is as close to study level as you can get. If you love general aviation, there is simply nobody who comes close to the quality of A2A. Unfortunately, this one also doesn't have a release date, but it is currently in beta testing, so I don't think the release can be too far off. This is a plane I will be most likely flying constantly, and I can't wait to see more of their planes coming to the sim in the future. It's amazing how much this sim has grown in the past 3 years, and it's showing no signs of stopping. Part of that has to do with all of you, the community. You're helping keeping this game and franchise alive. I also want to thank Azobo for their tireless dedication to this sim, especially in its darker times. This game is a literal dream come true. I never thought I would be sitting here talking about a new flight simulator, because honestly, I thought Microsoft was just done with this franchise, and I'm so glad they aren't. I am so excited to see what the future holds for this sim as well as the franchise, because we got a new simulator coming out next year, and how many more people get interested in aviation because of it. So now, I want to hear from all of you in the comments below. What have you been up to in Flight Simulator for the past 3 years, and what would you like to see in the future for Flight Simulator? And what are some of the things you're looking forward to? Let me know in the comments below. I'll see you guys all in the next video. Be sure to rate and subscribe if you want to see more, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Happy flying.